On this edition of Lexington Now, 250 Lex Literary Celebration, the Lexington Writers Walk, and severe weather preparedness. I'm Neil Noah, and welcome to Lexington Now for the week of April 14th, 2025. Lexington's 250-year commemoration continued this past week with the literary celebration at the Kentucky Theater. Here are some highlights.
I hope you are as excited as I am about celebrating our literary legacy tonight. As everyone by now is well aware, we are in our fourth month celebrating Lexington's 250th birthday. Yes, and this month we are focused on music and the written word. I am so excited about this month. I love music, and writing is particularly important to me. As a young student, I was introduced by an English teacher to journaling. Each day we had to write something in our journals. And I've continued this practice throughout my life because I loved it, including keeping journals during overseas travel with my husband while he was active duty in the Army. And then many years ago, when our children were young, I taught a creative writing class at Wendover Elementary School as a volunteer teacher. You know how that goes when you're a parent. It was so much fun working with students to engage their creativity in writing. We were lucky enough to have former Kentucky Poet Laureate George Ella Lyon come to the class one day. She demonstrated using a storyboard to bring the story and the illustrations together for the students. I still like creative writing, both prose and poetry. And you never know, someday you might find a mystery novel titled Murder in the Council Chamber. Sounds good, right? I always have a stack of books to read when I have a few extra minutes. And my passion for writing and reading led me to be part of the committee that formed the Kentucky Writers Hall of Fame. Literature and the written word have a rich history right here in Lexington. Once known as the Athens of the West, Lexington has long been a hub for writers of all types. And tonight, we get to hear the words of several of these great writers.
Again, we are so excited about all of the upcoming events for the rest of the year. And in April, we are eager to continue sharing the talents of our literary and written word artists. For a full list of things to do the rest of this year, visit 250lex.com.
National Book Award, the Pulitzer Prize, National Book Critics Circle Award, the NAACP Image Award, the Duggins Prize. These are just a few national awards received by Lexington authors for their outstanding literary works. Why does Kentucky have so many talented writers? One reason is Lexington's top-notch writing programs, which impact thousands of people every year. Writing isn't easy, and it's a competitive market. To achieve the level of success our local authors have takes a dash of luck and a tremendous amount of skill and talent. I also know that while I may never receive national awards, the dream of having a novel published is not impossible. Writing is a journey. There are ups and downs, plot twists and anti-heroes, days when the writing flows and others when it doesn't. As we celebrate this literary month, I encourage you to consider the stories you have within you, and if you're driven, to write them down and put them on the page. Begin the journey. If you do, know that Lexington's supportive literary community will be there to cheer you on every step of the way.
Another opportunity to celebrate Lexington's rich literary heritage is coming up with the Lexington Writers Walk. Here are the details.
We have made it past a wet week here in Lexington, and we're here in this beautiful Gratz Park behind the historic Carnegie Center. We just wrapped up a month focused on education as part of our year-long celebration of Lexington's 250th anniversary. And now in April, we are focused on music and the written word. Today we're here to talk about a great opportunity, the Lexington Writers Walk, coming our way on April 24th. Some may wonder why we're having so many events focused on the written word. Well, literature and the written word have a rich history here in Lexington. Once known as the Athens of the West, Lexington has long been a hub for writers of all sorts. Our community has been the home of numerous well-known writers, orators, printers, and publishers.
Lexington is a city of writers, and a lot of people don't really realize that. We have more than 24 best-selling authors who live here now, including part-time the U.S. Poet Laureate. But this is not anything new. Lexington has been a center for writers for most of its nearly 250 years. And when I developed the Lexington Writers Walk, the idea was to publish a booklet that visitors and people from Lexington could come and pick up at the Carnegie Center or at the Downtown Visitor Center, where they're still available for free. And you could kind of walk through downtown and up to Gratz Park and see places that are associated with some of the famous writers and other literary people who have lived here. On the 24th, I'll do kind of an in-person version of that tour. We'll walk around Gratz Park, and I'll talk about some of the writers and publishers and printers and historians who lived in these houses here. People like Mary Austin Holly, who was the first historian of Texas. James Lane Allen, who was a best-selling author in the late 19th and early 20th century, used to teach up in a building in there at Gratz Park when it was part of Transylvania's Academy. Mary Britton, who we'll soon name a new middle school for. She's known primarily as Lexington's first African-American licensed physician, but before that, in the 1890s, she was an important civil rights journalist. In fact, she was so important that the great black poet Paul Laurence Dunbar wrote a poem about her. And so that, and we have the first book publisher, the first newspaper publisher in Lexington. Henry Clay's law office was down the street. He was one of the major orators of the 19th century. And that was a time when most people got their political news by the spoken word and not the written word. But anyway, it'll be just an interesting walk around the park. We'll hope for nice weather like today. And you'll learn something about Lexington and its rich literary heritage.
The Carnegie Center's mission is to empower people to explore and express their voices through imaginative learning and the literary arts. And so it comes as no surprise that something like the Kentucky Writers Hall of Fame would be part of Carnegie Center's work. However, the Literary Walk was something that we felt like fit a gap that was here in Lexington for people to know about their own history in the city. So we hope you will come out on April 24th at 6:30. And the reason why we're doing this on April 24th is because it is Kentucky Writers Day. So if you don't know, on April 24th, that's when Robert Penn Warren was born. And so on April 24th every year, all of Kentucky celebrates writers on that day.
The first printing press came here in 1787, and that was the start of the explosion that has led to the embarrassment of riches that we have in the literary space. So you can imagine, as a aspiring novelist that I never became, and a musician that I never became, I was really excited about this month to turn it over to the people that know how to write and how to play music. So I think we're going to fulfill that 10 times over. But again, part of this embarrassment of riches, I was actually able to enjoy myself. The so-called three amigos, James Baker Hall, Ed McClanahan, and Gurney Norman, I was lucky enough to attend classes with two of those three over multiple semesters. So it was really something that's very close to my heart. But as it relates to 250 Lex, again, we're excited about this month, but overall, working with Dr. Eunice Beatty and our full commission, the promise that we made from day one to the mayor was we're going to build programming for the community that is interesting, inclusive, and memorable. We obviously know it's going to be interesting if Tom Eblin is involved. We know it's going to be inclusive. This is a free walk, and I think if people do take the time to come down here, they're going to take away some amazing memories. So I encourage everyone to participate not only in the month of April around the written word and music, but continue to take a look at what we'll be working on for the rest of the year as well. Thank you very much for coming out.
Severe weather preparedness after this.
Hi everyone, here it is April. Spring has sprung and our 250th anniversary celebration continues. This month, we are celebrating all things music and the written word. From writers and poets to musicians and performers, we've got it all. Take part in celebrations of our literary community with writers known across all America. Over 25 different venues await you in April to help celebrate our first ever one-of-a-kind month of music. There is truly something for everyone. For more information, visit www.250lex.com.
Hello, I'm Lieutenant Chris Van Brackle with the Lexington Police Department Traffic Unit. Today we are talking about disability accessible parking and the aisles between those parking places. Accessible parking is a valuable and necessary resource for people with disabilities, and that includes the striped area next to accessible parking spots. These are access aisles, and it is illegal to park here, even if you have an accessible parking permit. Police and Lex Park will write tickets when they see vehicles parked in an access aisle or parked in an accessible space without a placard, and the fine is $250. Know where and where not to park. Keep the access aisles clear. Thank you, and drive safe.
Welcome back to Lexington Now. April is the heart of spring severe weather season in central Kentucky. Emily Fay of Emergency Management gives us some pointers to stay safe.
They say April showers bring May flowers, but they also bring severe storms, and with that, severe storm damage. So last week we had a severe storm roll through Lexington area, and we were hit with straight line winds. I believe the National Weather Service said it was between 85 to 95 miles per hour winds, which caused a lot of damage. So what we want people to know and understand is that it's time to be prepared for those things. Having an emergency plan and having an emergency kit are some of the most important things you can do before a storm hits. So for an emergency plan, let's say for a family of 4, that would include where you're going to go if you can't stay at your house, where you're sheltering your house if it's a severe storm, let's say thunder, lightning, or a tornado shelter within your house, usually an interior room or closet, bathroom, and any other planning you would need to do to take care of your family. So those with young children would have diapers and toys and extra clothes. Those with older children might have books and homework and things to keep them entertained. If you're a family that includes taking care of an elderly person, you want to make sure you have their medications, medical records, and any other medical devices they need to keep them going. The best time to prepare for a new emergency happening or another weather event is right after one has just occurred. So you may have had your supplies ready, but now it's time to refresh, and it's time to think about what you might need the next time this happens. So it's a blue sky day, you don't want to think about something bad happening, but weather is unpredictable and we need to be prepared. So now's the time to sit down and go, okay, we didn't have power, what do we do about food? How do we get our medications refilled? Did our pets have enough food? How much do we need to keep in spare? And just make a list and check it off as you go. It doesn't have to be done all in one Saturday afternoon. You can spread out over a month, make a weekly checklist, and just build your kit back up. It's always good to keep that emergency supply kit in something waterproof, like a Rubbermaid tote or a waterproof backpack. They even make 5-gallon buckets you can cinch up, and now you have a way to carry water as well. Just do what works for your family, but it's important to do it. So every emergency kit will vary by family based on that specific family's needs. But in general, you should have enough non-perishable food and bottled water for 3 days per person. So a family of 4 servings a day per meal per person. And you'll also need to have a first aid kit, medical supplies, prescriptions for your family, blankets, flashlights, extra batteries, a weather radio with extra batteries. Make sure all of your emergency electronics are battery powered so that you can switch those out and still use them when the light goes out. If your family includes pets, if you have a cat or a dog, parakeet, you want to include them in your emergency plan, making sure you have food and water for them, about 1 gallon a day for dogs and cats, depending on the size. Obviously, Great Danes are going to need more water than Chihuahuas, but making sure you have that with you, an extra leash, a collar, any medications they may take, toys to keep them occupied. Pets get stressed too. You want to keep those anxiety levels down, and everybody loves a good toy. And making sure that you're prepared to bring them with you and that they're a part of your emergency plan. So where you go when you evacuate because your house is flooding needs to include a safe place for your dog or cat or parakeet to go with you. I would keep your emergency kit somewhere you can easily access it. Some people keep it in a utility closet or a linen closet. I know mine personally is tucked in the back of the pantry in my house. Ideally, we would suggest people check their emergency kits once a month, make sure your food's in date, nothing's gone bad, your medications like Tylenol, Advil are still good, and that nothing has been worn apart with age. However, if you can't do that, if it's just a little too daunting, you can always do it by season, so spring, summer, winter, fall, which is a good idea to check to replace those emergency clothing because you need different stuff in the winter than you do need in the summer. So if you have to be out in severe weather, obviously it's best to stay safe. So depending on your severe weather, thunder, lightning, those actions are going to differ. Stay aware of your surroundings, keep a way to have emergency alerts, weather alerts if you're going to be outside, and above all, take care of yourself and those who are with you. A watch and a warning constantly issued by the National Weather Service or other local alerting agencies sound very the same. You've got a watch, you've got a warning, but the difference is sometimes confusing. So a watch is when a weather event may happen. The possibilities are there, you have all the ingredients, but it's not yet happening. Whereas a warning is when all of those pieces have come together and it's either going to happen or already has happened. So if you think about it in terms of tacos, a watch is when you have all of your taco ingredients laid out in front of you, but you have not combined it. A warning, on the other hand, is when you've taken all of those ingredients and put them into your taco shell, and now you have a taco. The best way to be prepared is to stay notified, whether that be having a weather radio or getting your emergency alerts following local news outlets, just to make sure that you have that information coming in when you need it. If you live within Lexington and Fayette County, you can sign up for Lex Alerts on our website, BeReadyLexington.com, and opt into weather notifications and any other type of notifications we offer to be alerted when something happens. And it's a free service that sends a notification via text, phone call, to a landline, even an email when they're ready to go out.
Council is back from spring break, and that means we're back to a full schedule of live meeting coverage on Lex TV and streaming online. And remember, you can also find the most up-to-date information on non-televised city business at lexingtonky.gov. Here's this week's meeting coverage. That's all for now, but as always, you can keep up with us on social media. Check out the latest traffic updates on X at LexRex or catch our live traffic cams on lexingtonky.gov. For all of us at Lex TV, I'm Neil Noah, and that's it for now.